Hi everyone, Tally and Farrell here from Bored of It, and welcome to our ranking all the games we featured in our best board games for two players, not specifically designed for two players, videos.
Yep, so if you're a fan of the channel, you've probably seen the series of videos where the concept was that whereas it's very easy to find a list of games specifically designed for two player and the best games in that genre, it's a lot harder to know if that a game that can play with 2 to 6, maybe you have your eye in it, is that actually going to be any good at 2 or is it really much better at 6? So we kind of did that series as a way to help people because a lot of people play 2 players, couples, roommates, and especially during COVID, you kind of locked inside with the person you lived with, and maybe that's all you had to play board games with. So we are going to go through, and we've basically ranked these 50% our favourites, 50% their viability at 2 players. Because obviously some are better to play at 2 players than others are, to various degrees. So we're going to go through from last to first, and we don't know each other's lists.
Yeah.
So
Big
it's going to be a surprise. And we're going to try and keep it quick, and we're just going to say a single sentence when we reveal and then move on to the next one because we've got like 54 to get through.
It's a lot of games.
A lot of games.
I'm not going to lie, I've done a little bit of mine on gut feeling because that is a lot of games to rank.
I think that's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with number 54, which is obviously my least favourite on this list, and I'll be surprised to see if it's your least favourite.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I should be quick. So number 54 is Beyond the Sun. And the reason this is last, despite it being a popular game, is if you watch our review, we weren't great fans of it. And we mainly put it on the list because it was critically well received. People really liked it. And it did play fine at 2 players. It just did not grab us. We sold it. We didn't quite get what everyone else got.
Yeah, I think my number 54 you might be a little bit surprised at, and that is Anno 1800.
I'm surprised at that.
And the only reason is I love the game, and we love that game. We both put it kind of high, I think, in our, or you put it at least as your number one favourite game of 2021. But I think for me, out of all of them, that's maybe one I do prefer to play with more players because we've talked about it in our review, but it's quite a funny game to us.
Yeah.
And whilst we can have fun, just the 2 of us, it's just more fun to me, and you can have more hilarity with more. So that's the reason it's last for me. But still fantastic at 2, as all of these games are.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, all of them are brilliant at 2 because we included them on one of our lists. So just remember that. They're all really good.
Yeah. Okay, number 53 is, for me, is Mariposas.
Oh.
And that is generally because I quite like it. I think it is quite good at 2. But for me, I think I've just, outgrown it is the word. I feel like I've done everything I can with it when playing it. And if you made me say, you gave me this list and said, what order do you want to play them in? It would probably be in the same position. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel the need to get out anymore. But there's nothing wrong with it. But that's just a personal thing.
Yeah. My number 53 is Red Rising.
Yeah.
I like it. And I think it plugs a nice gap for us of a game that plays in about 45 minutes that you can chill with. But again, maybe one I just prefer a little bit more to play with more people. I think there's better games that I would get out with just the 2 of us than that. So, yeah.
All right. My number 52 is Vindication. And that's just because I think it's a good game. It's a good Euro, but we don't get it to the table a lot. Probably is maybe a little more fun with more players as well, although I don't think because it's quite Euro-y, it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, it's just something that I think is a very solid game, but I don't think it's a very exciting game. And I think that's the extent of it, but there's definitely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. My number 52 is Cloud Age. I think feel a bit similar to you as Mariposas on this one, that we played it a bunch when we first got it and then maybe just outgrew it a little bit. Nothing wrong with it, but more fun games on this list after a while. It's a good game, but
I agree.
Yeah. Not even that we got tired of it, right? But we
explored it enough.
Explored it enough, exactly.
Yeah. So 51 for me is New York Zoo. And that's, I think, similar reasons for me, as I said with Mariposas, where it's just, to be fair, I'm not as tired of it. I'll definitely play it more. But I just think in terms of what I really like, you know, it's not quite in that genre, if that makes sense.
Okay.
What?
Oh, I'm sad.
No, I'll still play. I don't want to get rid of it. I just think for me, this is more on the side of my like side than 2-player. I think it's excellent at 2 players.
Yeah.
This is a lot more on my personality side.
Fair enough. So mine is Beyond the Sun. Same sort of reasons as you, so we don't need to go into that too much.
Yeah, so my 50 is Red Rising. Similar to what you said, I think it's a pretty decent little card game, but it's not perfect. It also has kind of issues of luck when you have a card-based game. I do enjoy playing it. It plays quickly. We actually played it 3 times in a row the first time we played it because we enjoyed it. But basically, as you said, I think it's a little bit more interesting with more players. I think you get more cards in the deck, on the board, which you lack at 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is Vindication.
Yeah, I
Nothing
reckon
to add to your
a
comments.
lot of these are going to be the same, I think.
Yeah,
in
that's
this one.
fine. We can just say same sort of comments unless we have a really differing opinion.
Okay. So 49 for me is Renature. And that is, I guess it's a weird one because again, I think it's a bit like the Vindication where we just don't get out as much. It's like a good game, but it's not something that leaps to be out, and you have to be in a kind of specific mood, I feel.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it though, and what's great about it at 2 is that it's a very different experience than at 4, but it's equally as good. It's just different because you have more space to explore the board. You have more dominoes where you don't get that.
Yeah. Mine is Intrepid, and this is definitely on the personal preference side than how good it is at 2 players. I think we've talked about this a bit before, but it is a co-op game which sometimes tend to work better at 2 generally, and it's not something I'd maybe want to play with more. So it's not that it's less good at 2, it's just personal preference. That I think it's a really great game, really novel, but co-ops just aren't my thing so much.
Well, either of us, I think.
Yeah.
So my number 47 is Micro Macro Crime City. And
I'm surprised actually that you put that.
I just think it loses points because I think it's perfect to play at 2 players. I think it might be one of the better ones in terms of you can play with more. But as we said when we've talked about it before, you don't want to play with more because it's hard enough with 2, and you're crowded around the table, let alone if you had a whole family. But I mean, people will enjoy that, so it's fine. But I think if you had 4 adults trying to play it,
I'll get annoyed with you.
Yeah.
Well, we get annoyed with each other leaning across the map.
But I think just because it loses points, one and done type thing. Once you've done the mysteries, pass both the original and its sequel off to my sister to play because once you've solved them, you know what happened. So that's why. But it's a great game.
And mine is Res Arcana.
That does not surprise me after the last time we played. I absolutely thrashed her.
Yeah, I think
You got I had 10 points and you had 1.
this is why it's kind of low on my list.
Yeah.
I just cannot win it against Farrell. I need more players to try and beat because if it's just me and Farrell, I ain't ever going to win. I need more people to compete against. So that's only one. It's still really good at 2. It's just that is mine maybe are more based on personal preference. But
Yeah, I can't remember now if I actually said the last one was 47.
you did, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was 48 and this is 47.
Yeah, I did think that didn't sound right, but
so this is 47
okay.
now, that was 48. And mine is Raw and Right. And I think there's going to be a few Roll and Rights high up on this list towards the end of it. And really that's just because I think what I deep down like the games you're going to see, and I do love Roll and Rights, but I mean they're kind of the same experience at any play account. If and a lot of them are similar but different. And it's just that I think I get more out of other games, although roll and writes are like comfort games for us, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So mine is Tinner's Trail. I think it's really good, and maybe one that we should get out more. I think this is just more of a frequency thing. We played that one a lot when we first got it, but we just haven't really got it out recently. It's a nice little game. I think it works pretty well with 2. Like if you only play it with 2, it's fine. But just because it has that auction mechanic, which it does work fine at 2, maybe more fun with 3 or 4.
I think that's one of the things. So number 46 for me is Fleet the Dice Game. Hello, Sven. Nice to meet you.
Aww.
For much the same reasons as I said with
Sven, very entitled.
As I said with Raw and Right, it's a good little game. It does what it says on the tin, but I think we only played Fleet the Dice Game recently, and it's a bit of an older roll and write, so it's like very good, but it's also doesn't wow me.
Yeah, that's fair. It didn't. Yeah. I thought it was really fun, and I'll continue to play it. But
exactly,
for me,
100%.
I think
I'm not getting rid of it. But...
No, better ones. Mine is Sleeping Gods, and I think I was actually going to put this even like lower on my list because again, co-op narrative games aren't my thing. But then I thought that was unfair because it is a really excellent example of the genre. So it felt unfair to put it lower, and it works super well at 2, like we've said before. Because you take turns in reading the stories, it just works kind of well at 2, and at any more you'd have to wait a long time before it got to your turn to like read. So I do think it's excellent at 2, but again for me that type of game is just not my thing.
Sven.
What an attention seeker.
So number 45 for me is Cloud Age, which you already mentioned, and really I think I really enjoyed that game. But we basically played the entire campaign very quickly before we reviewed it. Not very quickly, but we played like 8 games in 2 weeks or something. And we just kind of felt like we were done with it after that. Yeah. Because it's a bit lighter than, say, Maracaibo or Great Western Trail. And so we just felt like we'd seen it. And then I did kind of want to get it back out, but we ended up selling it. Before we did, and I don't regret it so much. I don't miss it.
You don't really think about it.
No. So yeah, I think it's a great game. I really enjoyed it if you like Alexander Pfister games. But once we completed the campaign, I was kind of like,
Yeah. So mine is Spirit Island, which, again, I feel a little bit bad that that's kind of so low on my list because I actually really do like that game. Yeah, we haven't played that in a while, and if I had to rank my favourite co-op games, that would for sure be number 1. I think it's really, really good. Considering, like I keep saying, that's not my favourite genre. Maybe it's just a frequency thing. We haven't again got that out in a little while, so it is less fresh in my brain than some of the other games in this list. So it had to go nearer to the bottom.
Number 40, what are we on? 44 for me is, I wonder if this is going to be interesting for you, Lost Ruins of Arnak.
No, not interesting.
Okay.
I know famously your feelings on this.
Yeah, so this is a very well-rated game that I don't rate as much as most other people. I think it's fine. I think it's an excellent game for kind of people trying to build up in the genre. You play Ticket to Ride, maybe you move up to kind of Lost Ruins of Arnak. But I personally just don't see it. I don't think it connects all its component parts as well as Svensson. Not as well as Svensson, as well as other games. Anyway. You can check our review to see what I think about it, but that was number 44.
Fair enough. Mine is Clans of Caledonia, which again, I think it's a really great game, but it just isn't one that calls to us to be got out that often. But I think it works pretty well at any player count regardless. It's one of those middle games for me where it doesn't call to us. It's not a bad game, it's really good and definitely one that I really enjoy to play, but it felt like it had to go in the sort of middle of the list for me, just because it's not one of my favourites.
So 43 for me is the Quest for El Dorado. And that is just because I think I much prefer it with more people.
Okay.
I think we've had the experience where, weirdly for us, we've played it so much with 4 people.
Yeah.
And it's fine at 2, it's great at 2, but I think because it's a race game, it works really well at 2 because you control kind of 2 characters each and you have to get them both to the finish line. But if it's a race game, the more races, the more zany, the more tense it is. So yeah, that's why.
Fair enough. Mine is Everdell.
Mm-hmm.
Again, really love it. I think this is, again, one that just doesn't call to us to be played as often as our other games.
Yeah.
Even though, again, I really like it. It's very cute. Maybe just setting up the big 3D tree is a bit of a blocker.
Have you ever set it up?
I have, actually, and it's very annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, my number 42 is Everdell.
Okay.
So, much the same reasons. I actually don't think much changes 2 to 4 players. So it's great at 2 if you want that and you want that. I just think, it just doesn't draw us as much. I think we'd rather play other things. I think we liked it when we were kind of new to gaming, and now for chunkier things, I think.
Yeah.
Fair
enough. My number 42 is Mariposas. It's higher up my list than Farrell's. I like it more than Farrell. You were ready to sell it. I said, no. It's actually one that I can beat you at. So it gets points because of that, quite frankly. I think it's just a nice, chill game, actually. It's not heavy, chunky, like it's nothing too novel. But I just think it's a nice game.
Yeah. So number 41 for me is Tinner's Trail. And basically what you said, Tencent. Basically what you said, where I was surprised by how much we liked it when we got it. We like Malmos games generally, to be fair, except for Australia.
Yes.
That was like a big miss for us.
Bit of a hit there, not a hit.
Yeah. So Tinner's Trail is great. I think it works really well at 2 players, more than an auction game deserves to. But just a little bit better with more, and I think he has better games. But it's a beautiful production, and we're definitely keeping it, and I want to play it again because we haven't played it for a while.
Yep, it's really cool. So mine is Nemesis Lockdown. I do really enjoy to play it, but you would always have to be the one to instigate that. Yeah. I don't think I would ever say, hey, let's play Nemesis Lockdown. I probably prefer that to, because it's semi-co-op, right? Yeah. Obviously, it's a little bit unique in that way, so it's not really comparable to some of the other co-op games. I always enjoy playing it once it's out, but again, these kind of narrative-driven ones for me, like I just don't have an imagination. I like games where cubes move up tracks, like optimization. That's just the way my brain works. I have zero imagination. But it is a really good game, and we enjoy to play it at 2.
Yep. Number 40 is Imperial Steam for me, and basically that's just because I think I like it enough. We had a review recently. It's interesting. I like what it does. It's an absolute nightmare to set up, though, so that stops it from getting to the table as often. And also, I think if you prefer the crunch as we do, I think it depends how you want to play. If you want to keep the crunch out as much as possible, better at 2. But I think we prefer it. You know, we like Barrage 4 players, everyone miserable. So Imperial Steam, we just prefer with more. And also, I think I like other games better. So that's why it's number 40.
Yeah, that's fair. So my number 40 is Eclipse. 2nd edition.
Betrayal.
What is it called? Full title?
Second Dawn for
Dawn for the Galaxy. Really cool game.
That's sacrilege.
Farrell's upset with me now. Yeah.
No, make you play it.
I like it. again, probably just personal preference in that I will never win against you in a 2-player game.
That's true.
I need more people.
Well,
to
you did
try
win
and
once,
compete
actually.
That one time, exactly. I think it's a really cool game, and it's really cool that type of game we enjoy to play at 2 players because it's got more of an engine building Euro style for a big space game, and it can be played in 2 to 3 hours, and of course a bit less with 2 players. So I think that's really something going for it. But yeah, maybe one that for me, I just prefer to play with more, so I have maybe a chance to come second.
Yeah. So 39, and that is Nidavellir for me. And I think it's an excellent game. It's one I love playing. It's a lighter game, so it's great to introduce people that maybe aren't so into gaming. But as an auction game, as a bidding game, again, like I said before with previous game, it works better at 2 than it has kind of any right to.
Yeah.
But just better, just a bit better at...
It's got more of a party
yeah.
vibe, hasn't it? We always play it as a precursor to something else when people are around, because it's, chilling around the pool when we're on holiday with a group of friends like that. It kind of fits that
vibe
for us.
Yeah.
So mine is Micro Macro, Crime City. It's really hard to rank that one because it's so unique and it just feels like a different spot to any other game. Like you can get it out and play in 10 minutes. So I did find this one quite hard to know where to slot in. So I kind of just put it in the middle, really. I think what you said is right. The fact that it's one and done means it's not going to be really high up the list, best game ever, because it is finite, I guess.
Yep. So number 38 for me is Sleeping Gods, and this is definitely more on the personality side. I think it's a great game and it deserves to be higher. And I actually just finished a solo campaign, but that's the thing.
You finished?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think that I actually prefer to play these kind of narrative games almost solo. So I think that's personal preference. I mean, people play as 4 players and love it, right? People play 2 players. Think again, as you said, rather play at 2 by far than 4. But I know you're not so into it, so I just happy to play it at 1 and have a great time. So that's why this is literally that I prefer it almost more at 1 because it just kind of flows quicker, if you know what I mean.
You're a big reader, so it suits you, right, to incorporate a game into reading almost. Yeah. Mine is Fleet the Dice Game. Pretty much same reasons as you said. It's really good, and we've had a lot of people recommend it to us when we talk about roll and writes, but I guess we just weren't wowed by it compared to some of the other roll and writes that we have and that we've tried. But I think it's probably just down to when we've tried them, right? We've tried other ones first and then come to Fleet the Dice Game. So it's pretty good, just not wowed.
Yeah, so I believe we're on number 37.
Yep.
And mine is Witchstone. What?
Nothing.
And yeah, so Witchstone, I think it's a great little game. I don't think it's going to set anyone's world on fire, but it's tense, it's tight at 2. You're definitely fighting over everything. And we've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's basically, this is why it's kind of, I guess, not quite in the middle, but it's good design, it's slick design, but I don't think there's any sharp edges to grab onto, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In terms of the design to elevate it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mine is Raw and Right. We've both put those together. I did find that when I was trying to rank my list, I tended to group certain things together.
Yeah,
we got them around the same time, so they kind of got grouped together. I probably prefer Raw and Right just a little bit more than Fleet. I think it's pretty similar for me for Fleet. I think it's a really cool game, but I think we prefer our other roll and rights.
Yeah. 36 is Clans of Caledonia for me. And I think it's a Euro game we really like, but we just don't get out enough.
No.
I don't know why, because I like it more than the amount of times we get it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's great at 2 players. I think maybe it's a little better at 3 or 4 because it has this weird kind of like Terra Mystica Gaia project type thing where you can buy things or interact with your neighbors on the map. So maybe that's a little bit better. But because it's Euro, it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, just kind of, very mid-range, I guess, game in our household.
Yeah.
But we like it.
Definitely. Okay, so mine is Long Shot, the dice game. Yeah, no, but I think it's a really cool game. You've played it a lot more than me.
That is fair. I've played it like 10 times more than you.
Yeah, that's why it's a little bit lower. And I feel almost bad putting it low because I think it's a really fantastic game because it goes up to 8 players, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you can still enjoy that type of game at 2 is a really good testament.
Number 35 is Railroad Inc. And I think it's one of the all-time Hall of Fame roll and writes. But we haven't played it so much lately. And I think it's the same thing as other roll and writes. I think they're excellent comfort games, excellent travel games. I do really like them. But if you're having a game night, they're not going to be what we put on the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. There's
Fair
nothing.
enough.
That's why it's in the middle, I think.
Mine is Arkwright, the card game.
Well, yeah, I don't blame you on that either.
What, you think that's low? Like, you're surprised how low it is?
No, to be fair, I mean, for you, I think.
Yeah. No, but I really enjoy it. It's just a lot of maths in that game. I actually put that a bit higher in the end because it is one that I think... I'm not sure how much I would really want to play it with more players. I think I personally prefer it with 2 because it's already quite heavy on the maths and it's quite hard to foresee. And for me anyway, maybe it's just me. I have to get a calculator out to really figure out how much profit I'm going to make because you never quite know when you get to it. I just think with more people that would really stress me out. So I put it a bit higher than I originally did because I was like, actually no, for me it's one that I think works really well at 2.
Yeah.
There's better games I prefer that maybe pop more. Maybe for me it's just like the theme is a bit dry.
Yeah.
I think the other games on my list have better themes.
That's fair. Number 34 is Welcome to New Las Vegas, another roll and write. It was one more, I think, because it's quite heavy in terms of roll and writes. I think we really liked that it was kind of crunchy and meme. But yeah, so.
Yeah. Mine is The King is Dead, 2nd edition.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that's really fantastic at 2 players for that type of game. I struggle to put my finger on why that one's sort of middling around. I just think there's games I prefer to play more at 2, I guess. But I mean, it's a really brilliant game.
Yep.
Yeah. Nothing more to say on that, really.
33 for me is Spirit Island. And as you said, I think it's a good game. And because it's a co-op, it scales extremely well. But personally for me and us, we're not that big on co-ops. And I like Spirit Island enough. I want to play it more. But it's funny because no other game gives me more AP because I don't usually suffer from it at all than Spirit Island.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Okay, so mine is Witchstone. Quite high up the list, I feel, for like a game that we've got fairly recently. I actually really like it. Is that because
you've won a few times?
I like it because, again, I can actually beat you in that, and that's a rarity.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. But like you said, I do agree with you. It's not going to blow anyone's socks off. It's just a nice little game that plays quite quickly, that has some good decisions and crunch, and it's just fun.
Yep, so 32 is Intrepid. Again, it's a co-op. I think, I always say this every time, I always want to play it more. Just don't quite get it to the table.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued by it. I like to play it more, and that's why it's kind of in the middle of this list.
Yeah, that's fair. Mine is Pipeline. I think it's a really good game. It's not one that I particularly want to play with more people. It's really hard because I think it's a really brilliant game. And like I said before, I really struggle with the middle of this list.
Yeah.
I can't quite put my finger on why it's there because, like I said, don't particularly want to play with more. Maybe, again, it's just one of those things. There's a theme here. I can't beat you. Again, so I need more competitors.
Yeah. 31 is Anno 1800. And that is just because I much prefer it at 3. It's good at 2, but I think every time we've played, because you have often 2 people, because there's only 2 of each factory type, you have 2 people who have it and they aren't you, then you kind of get this joking around, whereas if you play it 2 players, you can always get the factory you want, so you don't get into that trading element.
Yeah.
But because it's a Euro, I mean, it's completely fine at 2. I just think we like it. We have a lot of fun at 3.
Yeah, we have
That's
definitely a lot of fun.
Otherwise, it would be higher, I think.
Yeah. Mine is Imperial Steam.
I'm surprised it's so high. I'm surprised it's higher than me. Way higher than me.
Yeah, it's one of the games I really like these types of games. I'm just really bad at them. Again, can't beat you. I need more competitors. And I think just with more players, like you said, it's a bit more busy and a bit meaner, more stressful, but maybe just gives it that edge. But we would definitely still play it at 2.
Yeah,
but it's quite a difficult game. And I think it's really good, but we've got, again, like more novel ones to the top of my list that fill that same gap.
Yeah. So number 30 is Wingspan. And this is, again, I prefer to play, like, Wingspan I think really doesn't matter too much what player count you play it at in terms of the experience. But I think some games, some of our like classic games, we just have a bit of a meta playing them at 3. We've always kind of played them at 3.
Yeah.
Scythe, Wingspan, Brass Birmingham. And I like having like that exact player count.
Yeah.
Wingspan as well, it's not one that sets my world light. I will never ever say no to playing it.
Yeah.
But I very rare I'd suggest it over something.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be nice with more to like get the pink powers going, like between turns and
that's
things
true.
like that.
That's a good point.
So mine is Nidavellir. Brilliant game, similar to what you said. Maybe just more fun with more people. Has more of a party vibe, like we've already said.
29, Castles of Burgundy. This is a classic. I like it quite a lot, but it doesn't, again, I'll say this again, but similar world light. I think it's a classic Euro. I think there's a reason it's in the top 20 BGG. But for me, I prefer other games.
Fair. My number 29 is Lost Ruins Varnak. Higher up my list than
I thought
yours.
it'd be higher than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess we don't get it out that frequently. There's games that we get out more frequently. Maybe because you don't love it as much. And I really like it, but I do agree with you that we don't quite understand the hype behind it.
Yeah.
Even though I like it more than you, I do agree with you on that.
28 is Galaxy Trucker. I guess the new edition, the 2021 edition. And this is a game that we played a lot at 2-player, mostly at 2-player. And we had a lot of fun doing it. It's very obviously luck-driven. We like the time pressure. It's kind of novel in our collection. But it's also not the type of game that, we going to rate in our top 10. I think that's just why it's in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's excellent at 2 and good fun. Definitely. It's one of the more zany ones on this list.
Definitely. Mine is Wingspan, pretty close to yours. So I would agree with your comments. I won't go any further and say anything else.
27 for me is Res Arcana. It's a little Euro I really like. It plays quickly. Has great expansion. And yeah, I just really like it. But it is kind of a resource converter. And it's something that I think is, I just really like it. But again, it's going to come back to this thing of there are games I like better.
Yeah.
It's a nice, almost filler game, but it's maybe a bit too heavy for that.
Yeah. Mine's Renature. I think I've put it higher than you because I think it's a really good game at 2 because it's still very stressful. You think it looks really
Extremely
cute.
stressful.
It's got some cute little animals on it. Oh, some dominoes, so cute. But actually, it's brutal area control. And with 4, it can just be like even meaner. People take a long time to like decide what to do. So I think I've put it higher than you have, because I think it's really excellent like at 2. I prefer to play it at 2.
Yeah. So my 26 is Hadrian's Wall, and this is another kind of. I mean, this is more of a flip and write, but it's kind of different in that it comes with physical components, which are the resources, and you kind of take them and you spend them. It's probably the heaviest roll and write we've played.
Yeah.
We have a review on it if you want to know more, but I really like it. It's a really good comfort game for us, but it's definitely not a game I'd be like crazy to play, but I do like it because it gives something more.
Being distracted by 2 extremely
they're
cute
just both
dogs down here,
off.
just staring and.
We don't have time
boring.
for this, dogs.
We'll
you're so take you out later.
Yes, I know. Mine is. It's very distracting. Mine is New York Zoo. I think this falls into the category of kind of relaxing game to play for me, even though it's a race game. So it's one for me that if we're just chilling on a Friday night and we've already maybe played something big and heavy, we say, let's have a game of New York Zoo. So I think it's more about when we get that out as to why I like it more than you. It's like a relaxing end of night game for me. So
25 for me is probably going to be a bit controversial in the wider community for being so high, but it is Tapestry. And essentially, Tapestry isn't the perfect game, but I really, really appreciate how you can have kind of a more complex Euro game, but it's also very simple to play because your choices boil down to which of these 4 tracks I'm going to move up. I think all the expansions kind of like filled the game out a bit as well and rounded it. But it still has its issues. But we've played it a lot. Not a favourite game, but we enjoy it.
Definitely. Mine is Parks. I think it fills the same spot in the collection as, or a similar spot as New York Zoo. Very relaxing. Maybe just pips New York Zoo in that it can be more fun with a race element, like you said, in New York Zoo with more people. But I mean, just a little bit more for Parks. I know there's the more tight race for worker placement spaces in Parks if you have more. But yeah, I think it just pips New York Zoo for that reason.
24 is Praga Caput Regni. And that is mainly because, it's been called like the most Euro game to Euro. So player count obviously doesn't matter really at all. So it's great at 2. And basically it's at 24 because that's honestly exactly where I feel about it, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no caveats or that's just where it would be.
Fair enough. My number 24 is Galaxy Tracker. Very similar reasons to you. And we always have a lot of laughs playing it regardless of the player count.
23 is The King is Dead, 2nd edition. And yeah, it's just because I think it's a good game. I think it's not a game we're going to be dying to get out every time. It's not a game maybe we think about a lot, but I think it's very well designed. I think it's a short, tight experience. And it will never fail to make me laugh watching all these like hardened board gamers umming and ahhing over cubes.
Yeah,
like just
cube.
cubes. Just exactly. It cracks me up.
Mine is The Quest for El Dorado. So obviously I've put that a lot higher than you. Just think I do agree with you that obviously the more players you have in a race game adds that little bit more tension. But I still find it very tense, and it's just a fun game to play regardless of the player count. I just always have fun playing it. It's fun tension, not stressful tension, I think. Sometimes.
Yeah. So 22 for me is Nemesis Lockdown. and I think that really enjoy it. It's a game that kind of allowed me to become more okay with these games where you're going to die a lot, because we died a lot. But I mean, I think it's a great game, and it just kind of sits just hovering about that top 20.
Yeah.
The thing is, excellent game. I think it's probably a little bit more fun with more people, which maybe stops it breaking that 20.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Mine is mind management. Yeah.
Surprising considering you keep winning.
And definitely not, I'm not going to say lower on the list because we are approaching top 20 now, but maybe didn't put it in my top 10. Like, it has nothing to do with player count because we definitely prefer to play this one at 2.
Yeah.
I think it is just personal preference of type of game. Like, I think it's an excellent game, super novel, but I just have more of a preference for Euro games, even though I'm absolute trash at them.
So 21 is Coffee Traders, and that is because surprisingly high, I think, on this list actually for me, but you forced me to play it over and over. It's made me come around to it, and what stops it being higher is that maybe it'd be nicer to play it with more people more often, but it's such a brutal, heavy game that it scares people away, and for good reason.
Yeah, and I think we can't be bothered to teach people. Like,
No.
Seems like a lot of effort. Mine is the Castles of Burgundy. Maybe have it higher on my list than you. It's one of them ones that I can just beat you out on.
Actually, I've won a lot more recently than you. So.
When we first got it, it was one that I just kept being able to win at, and this is a rarity. I think, I just think it's just as fun at 2 players, but it's not going to be in the top 10 because the theme is not that novel. I think theme is quite a important thing to me.
Stop it.
Artwork to suck you in. I think Castles of Burgundy, brilliant game, but the theme could pop more.
Yeah, well, you did very well there to do it while the dogs are fighting.
Yeah, not fighting, they're
playing, but
not now, dogs.
Meg just had little dog surgery, and she's not supposed to be stressing herself, and she keeps trying to beat her brother up.
She's crazy.
So we're in the top 20 now. That must be exciting. And my number 20 is Pipeline. I just think it's a really well-designed Euro game. It's one of those games that you get better at the more you play. And we played it a few times recently, so it kind of came back into my mind.
Yeah.
And I just like what it has to offer. I like tenseness, I like the tightness, I like the way it works, I like the look, thanks to Eno Tool, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so my number 20 is Dune Imperium. Yeah. And we've got this out a couple of times recently and had great fun. I really like the deck building element of this and the worker placement mashup. I think it's a really excellent example of that mashup. And it's really tense, tight race to get to those 10 VP. And we always just have a great time playing it. With the 2 players, you have to use the dummy player, but I think it works pretty well, actually. Yeah,
it's pretty unintrusive. So, number 19 for me, Long Shot the Dice Game, which is why I was affronted that you put it so far back. I think it's an absolutely terrific game, has no right to be as good as it does at 2 players, considering it goes up to 8. But it's brilliant. I think it's a really brilliant game that I can see myself playing a lot of times with a lot of different people and a lot of different player counts. Long Shot Dice Game.
Cool. Mine is On Mars. Really enjoy it, but it is very complex, a lot of cascading actions, and I think the setup time probably puts us off getting it out a little bit more, and there are just other Vital Lacerda games that I prefer to play. But for me, I think I almost prefer to play those types of games with just the 2 of us, because of those cascading actions, it can be quite hard to keep track of everything. And then obviously if you add that additional player,
Yeah.
there's more to keep track of.
Especially
and you've got to teach someone.
Teaching them, yeah. So number 18 is
Stop it.
Arkwright, the card game for me. I've really taken to this. We've only played like 3 times and we're yet to try the experienced version. But I just really like it. I really like how it works. I like how tough it is mentally. I like the kind of, it has that humour that we found in Anno 1800, like making forks, and I don't know. I just really, I really enjoyed it.
Fork Factory.
And I think, as we said when we talked about it in our previous kind of video of this series, there's a very small window to interact, so player count doesn't come into it too much.
Yep. So mine is Merv, The Heart of the Silk Road. I think it's a really beautiful game. I really love the theme. I really love Eurogames. Think it maybe just doesn't get a little bit higher on the list because it's not the perfect Eurogame, right? I think some of the mechanisms and features don't quite interlink with each other.
Beautiful game though.
But I absolutely love the theme and I love listening to Arabian chill music while we're playing it.
That is pretty good. Number 17 is Barrage. I'm very surprised that you're going to have this higher than me.
Yeah.
But Barrage, I think if it was on What I Like alone, it would be top 5 straight up. I just think that, as I said, I think earlier in this video, we like Barrage at 4. We like it tough. We like everyone miserable. We like to be fighting for every inch.
More miserable.
And at 2, it depends what you prefer. It's a lot more loose because you have more space on the board, although the worker placement is just as tight. But yeah, it's just a personal preference of how I prefer to play. But this would be much higher if it wasn't that I like it with more players.
Yep. So my number 17 is Railroad Inc. I really like this one because it's great for travel because everything fits into the nice, neat little box. You can throw the dice into the box and just sit in a pub and have a nice game of Railroad Inc., which I've definitely done before. So I think that's really cool that you can do that.
Number 16 is Merv, which you just mentioned, and I think it's a really nice Eurogame that I also like. I find it interesting, not perfect, but yeah, well, actually kind of like, because you have to use a dummy player.
Yeah, that's true.
At 2, so on one hand it loses points, on the other hand it kind of makes this tactical thing that you can use it to block other players, which you wouldn't do in a 3-player game because you'd go where you want to go. So it adds like an interesting element, which is quite nice for a 2-player game.
Yep. Mine is Welcome to New Las Vegas. So we've ranked them in the same way, just above Railroad Inc. Just mine's higher up the list for the exact same reasons as you said.
So number 15 is My City, which I believe I actually changed the position of it for this video after it's sitting for a while, higher up. And I think we said in our review how much we like this. I think it's a really nice game. I think it just loses some points because of the fact that it's a legacy game, so you have a limited playtime. But it's a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I fully recommend it.
Yep.
To anyone that likes polyomino type games, puzzle type games, Reiner Knizia games.
Recommend it to anyone, really. It's really fun. Mine is Hadrian's Wall, so I've had like 3 roll and rights,
You did
flip
say
and
you
rights.
put them in the same order.
Yeah,
right?
I'd like blocked them all together and then ranked them within the category. I think it just obviously has a little bit more crunch than the other games, a little bit more complex. We like that kind of thing, hence it goes at the top of this block of Unright games.
So number 14 for me is Parks. I think it's a brilliant little game and it gives more than you'd expect it to give. Despite preferring heavier games, I really always surprised by it. So light and simple, yet there is this depth to it. And I think it's just a really nice 2-player game. It's a really nice like date night game, whatever that might be or mean. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is so hard when you get into the whole thing was hard to rank, but I almost feel a little bit bad about this now. But Root with Clockwork expansion,
I get it.
Always love playing it, and every time we do play, we always look at each other and go, this game is amazing. I guess it just gets a little bit less bonus points and is a little bit further down the list because of the fact that you, of course, have to get the expansion to really make it viable at 2.
Yeah, exactly. So my 13 is Orleans, and this was a crusty old Euro game we discovered last year, and we really, really liked it. We love that it's like this Euro game mixed with bag building, and yeah, I think Euro game doesn't matter what you play it at. Besides kind of one portion of where you're moving around building houses. But, I mean, it doesn't matter what player count, really, and we just really enjoyed it. So that's why it's so high.
Yeah, my number 13 is Dead Reckoning. This might just be Cult of the New, as you like to say. It's one that we've obviously got recently and just been playing a lot. Just think it's a brilliant game, and we keep saying that it most reminds us of Scythe, in a way, Pirate Scythe. It's not exactly the same, but
Scythe on the high seas.
Exactly, there's some elements that really remind us of that. And as long-time viewers of the channel will know, Scythe is our all-time number 1, but that is not something we would play at 2. So I like that we can get something similar that does play just as well at 2, which is Dead Reckoning.
So you better stop her.
Megan.
Yeah, that's right. Get out of there. So number 12 is Escape, Second Dawn for the Galaxy. I just really, really love this game. Escape. Oh, this makes distracting me. Take that back. Number 12 is not Escape. It's Eclipse.
What is that game?
Second Dawn for the Galaxy. It's a sequel. Spin-off. I just love this game. I love how it works. I love the production values. I really, really like this game.
Yeah, you're a big fan, aren't you?
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
Fair enough. Mine is Ultimate Railroads. Again, this could be Cult of the New. It's something that we got recently. We did really enjoy playing this with more players. It's worker placement, so it can be more of a fight to get the spaces that you want, but it does scale for the amount of players, so still really good at 2 and still a fight. Just really liked it, and it's one of those games that looks super dry on the box, but it's surprising how fun it actually is when you're racing for those worker spaces and trying to make the railroads on your own personal board move up. Yeah. Megan! She's ripping up her bed.
Number 11 for me is Dune Imperium. So a bit higher than you.
Yeah.
But obviously just missed out the top 10. Svensson.
Oh my God.
They're rioting. Anyway, Dune Imperium, I mean, you kind of said it. I think it's just an excellent kind of tight, tense worker placement game with a bit of a battling system. Like the card play mixed with the worker placement. It's a great game, and I mean, it's in like the top 20, 30 of BGG all time. So
yeah. It's my number 11, and then if yours was controversial in the community, mine will be 2 because it's higher. But that's Tapestry.
That is high.
Agree with you that it's not our favourite game, but I think for the amount of times we play it, kind of says to something that it's just a nice game to play. It's fun. That's all I have to say on it, really. It's nothing like crazy.
Megan.
It's just a good game, and always have fun playing it. Megan,
stop it! We're trying to get in the top 10, Meg. You're ruining it for him. You're ruining it. All right. So, are you going to sit down? Megan, you can't fight him. You just had surgery. Please relax.
She can't.
No.
She doesn't have it in her to relax.
All right. So we're now into...
You're boring her.
We're now into... I can't do this. I can't work under these conditions. Get my union rep. Meg, sit down. All right. So number 10 for me, big top 10 is Kanban EV.
Oh.
So Kanban EV is, I'm sure, will be like Tally's number 1. Sorry to spoil it, but well, I don't know that wouldn't surprise me. But Sven, please stop. So it's a Vital Lacerda game, and we love big heavy Euros, and it is a big heavy Euro. I like how it plays. It's kind of sharp and tight, has a kind of unique theme, blah, blah, blah. Kanban EV.
Very nice. Mine is all young, a bit higher than you. I think the bag building is a really fun element. And again, you said dry crusty Euro, but it's like surprisingly fun. And we both put it as our joint number 3 favorite games that we discovered last year.
Number 9, keeping up with I'm just going to group all the Vital Lacerdas together, is On Mars. And I really, really like On Mars. It's brutal to learn, probably still the hardest game I've ever had to learn, but I think it's all right once you know it. And I just really love the intricacy of it, all the different options, how it works, the design, the look, the components. Great game. Really great game if you're into heavy games. My
number 9 is Praga. Higher up than you.
Does surprise me a little bit.
Yeah?
You did always really like it though.
Huh?
Did always really like it though.
Yeah. Well, like I keep saying, I really like Euro games. I'm just really bad at them. And that is the most Euro to ever Euro. And I do get a satisfaction from moving all the different things up the tracks, and plays in quite a short time, so you can have a quick game of Praga, I think. So I find it satisfying. That's why it's so high. Yeah. Even though I'm bad at it.
So number 8, and kind of what you said, but for me this one feels like a real betrayal, which is Root. With the Clockwork expansion, and honestly Root, as I said with Barrage, would be in top 5, but it loses a lot of points for obviously requiring an expansion to be good at 2 players, either now the Marauders expansion or the Clockwork expansions, or mix. So yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant game, man.
Yeah, mine is Barrage, and I found it really difficult to rank Barrage, actually, because maybe there's just a little bit of conflict. If we were just ranking our favourite games, it would be, probably top 5. But we're mean people, so we like more players. But we still very much enjoy our 2-player games. Yep. Great game, like mechanically, theme-wise and everything.
Number 7 for me is Quacks of Quedlinburg. And I love this game as much as I hate it. It's one of our most played games. No game annoys me more to play. But I think it's just a really brilliantly designed, addictive experience. And because of how it works, it often really doesn't matter what player count you play it as. So it's a combination of like the amount of times we played it, how good it is at 2 players. Yeah. Number 7.
My number 7 is Coffee Traders. Really love this game. It is one of my favourites. But I think you're right. It would be nice to play it with more players sometimes. Because I think there are games where we could buy it, only ever play it at 2 players. And that's fair enough. But like going back to Root, that's not one of those games. So like we included it in our list as one, like, if you will only ever play it at 2, probably not worth it. But it is still fine to play at 2 if you will get a mix of player counts.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Coffee Traders, it's fine at 2. Would be nice to play more at 3 sometimes. Yeah. But we can't.
Number 6 for me is Dead Reckoning. I just really enjoyed it. And I think when we talked about it in the video that preceded this, in this series, I said that, I don't find it particularly more fun at 4. I think certain aspects I don't like more, and I prefer to play it at 2. Certain aspects are better at 4. But we're pretty happy playing it at 2 because what makes it great is the card crafting system, and that's always there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just wowed me, which is why it's a new game, but it's very high on this list.
Yep, so my number 6 is Cascadia. that is again one you don't have more or less fun at more players, less players.
You could
It is
play
what
it
it
solo,
is.
it'd be the same thing.
Exactly. Just very chill. We play it a lot, and the theme is really beautiful. It's just a nice, relaxing game, so it goes pretty high on the list.
Number 5 then is Ultimate Railroads for me. We've played it 7 out of 8 times that we've played it at 2 players, and we've loved it. So I actually think I prefer it at 2 players than 4. I didn't like how it felt, because maybe it's just because I was so used to it at 2, but
Yeah.
I liked having kind of slightly more control, because it's hard enough as it is. It's like quite brutal work placement at 2. I just like that extra, but I mean, I would not play it at 4.
Yeah.
But I also think it's a wonderful, wonderful work placement game.
Yep, so my number 5 is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Surprise is that high, to be honest.
What do you mean?
I
You mean that low?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
It is one of my favourite games. Always have a lot of fun playing it, regards to player count. Always fun to pull the chips out of your bag. Doesn't really matter. I like playing against you because you're too much of a gambler and keep pulling chips, whereas I know when to.
Yeah, that is true. Number 4 is something. It is Brass Birmingham. And this is one that's probably weighted more on my preference for loving it so much and thinking it's so well designed. But it's credit to, I love that the board scales. So you do have very similar experiences no matter what count you play it as. And it's a brilliantly designed game. So that's why it's so high, I think. It doesn't really need much explanation of why.
Yep. My number 4 is My City, actually. And maybe this is higher than it would have been than a couple of weeks ago, because we just got it back out again, because we only played with 2 players the first time. And it could be for 4 players, so we can actually play again. So maybe that is a little bit more fresh in the memory. But I just think it is really fun little game to play.
It's really great. I honestly I think our review is subtitled "Get This Game."
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with it. It's really exciting. It's satisfying to make your puzzle fit together, and you could really have the same amount of fun in 2, 3, 4, like whatever. You're working on your personal puzzle, so you're going to get those same feelings regardless.
Number 3 for me is Mind Management, and
very high.
a lot of that is, I think it's such an excellent head-to-head 2-player game that you can also play with more, which is the whole point of this series. I think it's just one of those things where I think it really fits in the series perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an excellently fun game to play. Although I did think about dropping it to number 54 after you beat me like 3 times in a row. I'm getting pretty sick of it. But yeah, so we also have a review of that. And if you want to watch that, you can see a great skit involving me and Sven.
It's very funny. You're a good... That's why he's petting you. He's like, I'm the star too. I want to be in the video. My number 3 is Kanban EV. And this is one of my all-time favourite games. I absolutely love it. I think the artwork is really cool, and I think the theme sounds dry, card production plant, but I think it really pops with the Sandra mechanic. She's your boss that goes around and marks you.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
I really, really love it, and I guess that's why it's high up on this list at number 3. But my other 2, I just maybe prefer playing at 2 players. But let's see what they are.
So we're into the final 2. And I'm really interested because I know you haven't said this, so I wonder if it's going to be the same for us now.
Ooh.
And my number 2 is Viticulture.
Okay.
Maybe not then.
No
we'll
comment.
see. So I think Viticulture is the quintessential worker placement game. We used to have Viticulture Fridays, just us 2, every Friday when we first got it. And we'd have some wine, we'd have some tapas, and we'd play. And I just think it's a brilliant game. I love the theme. I love the mechanics. Viticulture, number 2.
Okay. My number 2 is Brass Birmingham.
No, well, then we know what number 1 is. I've ruined it for you.
Spoiler! Absolutely love Brass. It's one of our favourites to play, regardless of player count. Even though it's pretty heavy, I think we've managed to teach a lot of friends, but at the same time, more than happy to get out to. I think for us, it's just a really classic game in our household now. It works well at tea because you section off some of the boards so that it's just as kind of tense and tight in terms of space, and it's just an excellently designed game.
So we come to the big number one, already ruined Tally, so we don't need to go to her.
Cheers for that.
And my number one, which is still maybe a surprise, depends how well you've kept track.
I can't think what it
is, of course, Cascadia.
Ah, okay.
And that is because, as you said when you talked about it, the player count does not matter at all. But I think it is such a brilliant, calming game. It's like my go-to chill-out game. We've played it so many times. I love how simple the actions you take are, yet how crunchy the puzzle is.
Yeah.
I love the different ways you score and you swap in and out. Amazing game.
Yeah. I'm surprised that that's amazing. Number one.
I kind of regret not putting it at number one on my best games of last year.
Yeah.
Considering my taste, it is surprising, but that's how it is.
Fair. Well, my number one is it's Viticulture. I think, again, this is just a classic in our house, and maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia for Viticulture Fridays that we implemented, especially like during lockdown. It was something that I really used to look forward to every Friday, Viticulture with the wine. But it is equally, I think for me, this is the perfect one for this list because we love to play at two, but it's not necessarily designed for two, and we have just as much fun playing it with friends as well, and I enjoy it no matter what. So for me, it's the number one on this list because of that reason. I just love the theme. It was the probably one of the first games we got that made me realise that board games could have cool themes. I think, like I always maybe thought they were like
potion brewing in medieval Europe.
Yeah, I always thought they were maybe like
potion brewing in medieval Europe,
or like aliens and stuff like this. And I was like, wow, there's a board game about wine. So
now we have two about wine.
That's very true.
So that was our lists of our ranking.
Long list.
So let us know what you think, whose was better, which is definitely mine.
I don't like this element of competition in this list.
Compete.
No.
So Svensson already thinks it's mine. That's why he sat here, winner's circle.
No, he's consoling
I'm
you.
joking. Let us know what you think. If you think we should have changed stuff. If you enjoyed the series. If you have recommendations. But we hope you enjoyed this ranking, which I know some people have asked for. And we enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
I think it was interesting to kind of put everything down on paper.
Definitely.
So we just want to say a big thank you for watching.
Yes.
And most of all, we hope it's enjoyable. And if you've been a fan of this series, if you're a fan of this video, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to us.
And Sven.
And now we're going to have to go do something with them, won't we? So thanks for watching.
Bye.
See you next time.